So up here on the hill is Mother Georgia, and she looks, so you can see her from everywhere in Tbilisi. You can't see well from here, and I'll try to get a shot from a different angle. But in one hand she holds up a glass of wine, and that's her hospitality to her friends. And the other hand she holds a sword, and the sword is she protect her people from her enemies. But Mother Georgia, everywhere you're in Tbilisi you'll see her. But here it is, here's Tbilisi. This down here is the old town, the river that's running through it. And just wander around and get lost in the lanes. Up here in the hills of the old town of Tbilisi is a really cool little area because it depicts what Tbilisi is about. It's just this mix of cultures and architecture and so much going on. So up behind me here is a fire temple from the Zoroastrian period. So there was in the worship of fire and the fire gods and things like that, as we learnt in Azerbaijan. Down here we've got this building which kind of inside you can see is a bit more like European neoclassical, with a Turkish, clearly like a Ottoman or Turkish influenced architecture balcony on the outside of it. Got Orthodox churches up here in the background, and then you can kind of see here the ancient, we'll go back here, the sort of newer cobblestone lanes that weave their way down, and you got the really old cobblestone going on here. So it's such a fascinating, but this is perfectly what Tbilisi is. It's just a mashup of so many different buildings and histories and cultures that have just made it a soup, a delicious history soup. It's fantastic. Everywhere you walk around in the old town is like this. It's these tiny little lanes that weave their way through. Far out. So we'll keep heading up the hill, and trying to get up to a 4th century castle up on the top of the hill there. But I just love this city. It's one of my favorite capital cities in the world. You can walk around here and it's a little bit crumbly, it's falling apart, but that's why I love it so much. You really feel like you've just stepped into history. This is something you'll see everywhere in Tbilisi. All the buildings just cracked through. It's wonky. This door, there's subsided down like this.
It's standing because there's houses next to it.
Yeah, the only thing keeping it upright is this one next to it. Well, you can see the roof up there is hitting the building, but down here it's opened up. I'm up here at the 4th century. This is built Narikala, I think it is, Narikala Fortress. And it's just insane. Like, this is on the kind of back side of the fort. The old town is down over this side. But you just look at what it is. Imagine being an invading force, being told to storm the walls. Well, that's insane. Like, just sitting up here, happy days, shooting your bow and arrow. Imagine being the guy that was told, well, you just be in that one and in this tower. You're like, oh, come on, man, what did I do so wrong? But this, you can see the old fort walls. This would have all been linked through, leading up to this one here, and it goes the whole way around. So this is the major fort up here, so we'll go and have a little bit more of a look around. Look at where we are up here. This is insane. How high we're up to the little, I can see it down here, a little defensive system. One's down to this one here. So this is, yeah, like the Hilltop Fort. You can see the walls go around, the church that's here. And I get a good view from here where it runs around another defensive corner system here, and then it runs around the old fort wall here and then takes up position here, and then the city, which is the old town, straight down here. The entire old town used to be behind a defensive city wall as well, but it did get taken over. Like, this was such an important trading crossroads between Asia and Europe through here, so everybody wanted a little piece of Georgia, a little piece of Tbilisi. So this has been taken over by the Turkish, the Persians, the Russians, even the Mongolians took it. So throughout its history, millennia, it's changed hands, which is so many times. So I mean, you can have a great defensive system like this, but I guess all you have to maybe do is lay siege to it and starve them off the top of the mountain. But that's why it's so down in here in the town, the architecture, the history is just evident through its changing of hands and cultures and throughout the centuries. And a really cool part of the old town here, where Tbilisi was also occupied by the Arabs for a period of time. You can see it here in this interesting sort of window coverings, like this ornate stuff going on. It's such a, you look at this, the influence of Arabic, potentially / Persian, I'm not 100% on that. And you've got these beautiful big balconies, and then up here on the castle wall even, which had to be rebuilt. It was 4th century but got rebuilt I think in the 17th or something. It just looks like something straight out of Kiva. It's an odd thing, because a lot of occupying forces that would take over cities would generally, over time, because they would occupy it for hundreds of years, the entire architecture of the city would change to suit whoever was in it. But I feel like because Tbilisi was such a important trading town, it got taken over by so many different people that maybe I'm completely wrong, but nobody was ever here long enough to alter the whole scape of the city. So you've got Arabic next to like Turkish next to European. It's such a weird, beautiful city. So look at this, so Georgia, and especially Tbilisi, it's predominantly Orthodox Christian, but here we've got a Juma Mosque. It's such a beautiful looking mosque, like the top of it there, the minaret. It's very unique. I haven't seen one in that style anywhere in the world. Look at this, pulled straight from Central Asia, straight from Uzbekistan, planted here in Tbilisi. It's just crazy, hey? Beautiful. Now look at this little area here. We've got the Juma Mosque sitting up here. Just up behind here is the 4th century fortification on the hill. These beautiful big buildings with the huge balconies. It's just this eclectic mix. It's like this has just been pulled straight out from Samarkand or something. And here's the hammams, the bathhouses. And you can look at the architecture on the roof here. You can really see this is from a whole, like, I don't know, is it Persia? It looks very similar to things we see in Iran, potentially Turkish. This waterway here, kind of the reason why Tbilisi is here is the hot bath springs. So Tbilisi translates something like hot place, or something hot area, hot place, which is in reference to the hot sulfur baths that are all around here. They're all through here, and that's the initial point where this place got settled, was around here with the hot springs. And they believe that the hot sulfur water is like healing properties. They named it after it. And so here's kind of like the birthplace of Tbilisi. So a lot of the older buildings are these old wooden ones, which they're all just falling apart a bit. Like nothing looks like it's stable. Look, I mean, the cracks through the building. This whole staircase is on a lean. It's crazy that people are still living in these. You know, look, they just go up these wonky staircases. It's just, it's odd that this is in a, you know, in the center of a capital city. This is how people are living. You can see where the older ones made out of these logs just haven't survived. Like, this is somebody's house. Look at that. There's still cupboards and stuff in here. You got the doorway. This is probably somebody's lounge room once. And then right next to it, it's so Georgian, everywhere you go will then be a little wine cellar, a little cute little wine bar. When you walk around Tbilisi, you'll see buildings that look like they have no chance of surviving a strong wind, let alone living in. So you'd have to think that this here, a developer or something, had bought the land, but you know, the state that it's in, there's people still living in houses like this dotted all around Tbilisi Old Town. And you see these wonky staircases and rickety balconies, woods falling down, windows are smashed. There's actually still people living in these buildings. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. I think they had a huge influx after World War II of people coming to move here, so all around the outskirts of Tbilisi, not in the old town, you won't find these. But we're still only a 15-minute walk from the old town, and you start getting into the Soviet era apartment complex living. This is the Holy Trinity Church Cathedral, Holy Trinity Cathedral of Tbilisi, and it's got to be one of the biggest cathedrals I've ever seen. Inside, it's massive. We'll go and have a look. Down in the park, when I was here 7 years ago, this was all under construction and it was all just earthworks going on, and these were nearing completion. These giant silver tube worms, there's two of them, this one here and this one here. I remember thinking 7 years ago, I can't wait to see what this will be like. It'll be a beautiful space, which it is. They've done a lot of landscaping, planting, and I was filled with a lot of like, what will this be? Like this crazy expensive building, this like really like modern architecture. But turns out it's never been used and never got completed. I don't know why that is, but it's such a shame. Like, this thing would have cost a whole heap, and they're just kind of falling apart now. So it's a bit what a waste of space, what a waste of architecture. Surely there's something they could do with it. So yeah, I didn't get to come back and see some amazing installation going on in there. Leading out of the fun park with the weird tube monsters, there's a little promenade area, and then we're on the Freedom Bridge. Really cool futuristic bridge. That's the Freedom Bridge. It heads off over into Old Town. It's kind of over this way. And if you like, you can go on a fun little boat cruise. Oh, here's the giant silver worms. This is kind of the main town square for the Old Town. You come over the bridge here, and that road will take you up into the castle at the top. There's a little bit of chaos like trying to cross the road here. Like, I have no idea how people driving through, just they forget about lanes and whatnot. People just weave their way around. Everywhere you look in Tbilisi, there's something architecturally that just, what the? Like, nothing side by side matches with the other one. It's amazing.